So Ingo was talking about transformational coaching, and he is somebody who's always lived with purpose and found out that even though he had goals and he hit these goals, because I mean, this guy is a six-time Ironman, like he's a world citizen. He's a lot of things, right? And he's always hit goals and upon goals, but realized that he was unhappy hitting them. Like once he hit them, he was like, "Uh oh, what's next?" And started to transform his life. And now he does that with others. So he helps you transform your life. I think you're going to love this episode. Here we go. What's up, everyone? This is Neena Perez. Thank you for being on Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I really appreciate you guys. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff, because I go around and I find the best humans I can find to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. So I am really excited today to introduce you to Ingo, all right? Because I was reading like his story and all the stuff he's done. And I really love people who are transformational but then also have a life that they live with purpose. And Ingo is a transformational life coach. He's an adventurer, a world citizen, a six-time Ironman, a proud family man. He's like all these beautiful things. And his journey is nothing short of inspiring. And he's here to help break barriers and unlock your potential. So get ready, y'all, because these kind of conversations always end up being freaking phenomenal. Ingo, welcome to Straight Talk. How are you?
Yeah, hi Nina. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
very
I'm
good.
glad
Thank
you're
you.
here. Good. I'm glad you're here because I love people who have done the thing and now are helping people do the thing, right? Whatever the thing is.
That's my
So,
mission, yes.
yeah. So my first question off the bat is, who are you? So Ingo, tell us a little bit more about you, because I touched the surface, but I want to know more about who you are.
Sure. So, yeah, as you mentioned, my name is Ingo. So, I'm from Germany. I grew up in Germany. And yeah, I would say most of my life I had more or less a normal life and a normal career, right? So, I was working more than 15 years in the semiconductor industry. I also was very successful, at least in the definition of success that whatever, like society has.
Mm-hmm.
But then later in my career, I found out that it's actually not so much aligned with my own definition of success, and that I needed to do something different. Yeah, I'm also a happy family father. I have two sons. I'm married, and like 4 years ago, we made the decision when it was during the pandemic, and I was not so happy with my job anymore, and my
Mm-hmm.
wife was not happy, and also with the kids, they didn't go to school anymore because all those lockdowns. So we said, okay, let's do something else. Let's try something else, and let's go for an adventure. So we basically sold all our belongings, our house, our cars, and we left with a few suitcases and our two kids and our two dogs. And we took a one-way flight to Mexico and traveled here for 9 months. And yeah, we found a place where we want to stay now. At least I'm not saying till the end of the life, because as you said, right, I'm also a transformational person. I don't believe that anything is will stay forever like that. So, but yeah, at least for the time being, we
Wow.
will stay here. And meanwhile, I also built a successful coaching business. And yeah, that's in a nutshell who I am.
That is so fun. I love that you did that. You packed up and just left. That shows your kids too, right? That there's ways to move, that there's other things you can do in life, that you don't have to stay stuck. And I really love that, right? I love that lesson that you taught them by doing something like that. And that's bold. I mean, right? You're living somewhere all of your life and then you just pack up and sell things and leave. That's really bold. And it talks a lot about your character and the transformation and also the support of your family, right? Because your wife didn't look at you and say, "Are you freaking crazy?" and go, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah,
But she
actually,
was,
it was my wife that came up with this idea, and she
oh,
was the years before she was pushing more in this direction. So I was a little
ah,
more hesitant with that.
that's so fun. I love that. And I love that, right? That shows dynamic, right? The same thing with me and my
Sure.
husband.
Yes.
I left my corporate job too. I said, "We're moving to Texas." He's like, yeah, sure, we're moving." So we moved. We didn't move the whole country, but we moved across lots of states. Went
Yes.
from the, yeah. So I love that you did that. So talk to me about that pivotal moment in your life when you were just unhappy because you said you were successful, right? So maybe that was your resistance. I don't know. I want to talk about that because sometimes and that was my resistance. I was, six-figure earner, like all this kind of stuff. So it was really hard to leave what I thought was a comfortable, successful life to try something different and new. So
Mhm.
what was that for you? Like how did that feel for you? How did you do that? What did you do?
Yeah, I think I mean, starting my journey, I was all my life in personal development, and I always wanted to grow, and I always was also very good in like setting my goals and achieving my goals. And this was the same in my business life, but also in my athletic career as a triathlete, as an Ironman, and also in my personal life. So I was always
Yeah.
able to have to manifest my goals and to visualize my goals and then to chase them and to reach them. That was never the problem. But then what happened is that, yeah, I mean, if you only focusing on this achieving goals, you just you delaying or you're postponing your happiness, right?
Mm,
And for me, it happened. I was always reaching these goals, but then somehow they left me empty.
mm,
And one pivotal moment was in 2018 when I went to the Ironman World Championship, and this was a dream for all my life, or at least for more than 10 years. And when I reached there, I mean, it was great. It was amazing experience and everything. But after that, it left me somehow empty, right? I was thinking,
mm,
so, okay, I mean, what's coming next? Now you achieved your dream, and now, okay, you need something new. But it's and then I started to realizing, and then it came also with I was changing the job, and then came the pandemic, and then I think I reached the point where where I understood that eventually the goals that I'm chasing are not 100% aligned with who I want to be, right? So because
mm.
I'm also I think we're all somehow we, we believe we know ourselves, and we believe we know what are our values and this stuff. But I also think we're very biased and influenced by by all this noise and all this stuff that is
100%.
going around us,
Yeah.
right? And it's not just family members or friends. It's also, especially today, all everything we see on social media and or on other medias. And yeah, and then I started to connect more with myself and go more in myself. And I think but I still had this limiting belief that I thought, okay, I cannot quit my job. I mean, I had a career. I was working in a director level. So I thought, and I always thought, okay, I cannot quit my job because I need this paycheck and I need to feed
Yeah.
my kids and I need to
Yeah.
pay the mortgage and everything. Um, and then during the pandemic, we just reached this point, and I think that's important that you have like that you get in a situation where the pain of the situation or of your current life of your current situation is bigger than actually to make the move. That's because then it's much easier to go away from that, right? And
Yeah.
this is what I reached then, and then we made this. I mean, it was quite a radical decision in our case, but actually, when we made this decision, it was really like freeing me completely up. And I must say, I never regretted that, or we never looked back, and we're very happy now where we are. And so I think it was a great decision.
So, have you learned to enjoy now the journey to your goals? Because someone as determined as you, right? Like very athletic and doing
Mhm.
Ironman and doing triathlons, you have to be very disciplined, right? That's a
Yeah.
very disciplined thing to be. And so now that you are helping other people transform and you're a transformational coach, I'm sure that you still live your life with somewhat of having all these goals, right? I mean, because that seems like that was a part of your life for a very long time. Have you
Correct.
learned to enjoy the journey? Is that what's changed? Have you learned to enjoy that piece? Or like how have you added the personal development and the transformational coaching into that athletic goal setting only mentality?
Yeah, I think you're saying it correctly, right? I mean, I'm still having my goals, even so
Yeah.
today I see them more differently, and I don't give so much importance anymore in achieving these goals. I see my goals today more as a vision or as a lighthouse, right? That are guiding me somehow in the direction.
Yeah.
And my goals are today are also more purpose driven, I would say, and more yeah. But it's more like a lighthouse, right? That shows me the
Mhm.
direction.
Mhm.
But along that, I also focus much more on the present moment, and I believe that yeah. I believe that I'm happy and I'm lucky and I'm grateful for everything I'm today. And I think
Yeah.
if I do every day a good job, and if I celebrate the progress much more than the outcome, and if I just try every day to do the best, it doesn't matter how much, so where it will bring me, because if every day is good, also that means also the future will be good, right? Because you're always doing
Mm,
good things and you're continuing doing that. um, that doesn't mean that I don't have, we all have this moments where it's also going down, or some
of
negative
course.
moments. This is part of the game, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think it's much more enjoyable. I'm much less stressed today, and yeah, I'm in a much better situation, I would say.
How did what kind of strategies or tools do you use to be grateful every day and to also go towards the guiding light, right? Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs that listen to the show. And so what I'm trying to get at is I know that you work with clients. So how do you guide them or help them understand that the goal is, yes, it's important, it'll guide you, but the journey is also important. So what do you do with your clients in this area? How do you help them to achieve their goals but yet be happy?
Mm. So I developed my own process. I call it the release, rediscover, rise process. So basically, are 3 steps, right? And we start
Mhm.
with release. I can explain all of them right now.
Yeah, I would love
And
that.
but just to explain it, so why I became a coach, or when I started learning all these coaching tools, and learning about NLP, and also all this transformational coaching,
Mhm.
I must say in the beginning I didn't really do it because I wanted to be a coach. I did it for myself because I
Yeah,
understood that
me
there.
too.
Yeah, right. Because
That's how
I
they
was
get
just
us,
curious.
Ingo. That's how they get us.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, no. But yeah. So I wanted to work on myself, and I understood that it's very difficult to do it on yourself, because there, especially when we're going to our deeper to the
Yeah,
deeper core of ourselves, to our subconscious mind, it's very difficult to get there alone. And you need the right tools, and you also need the right support,
yeah,
like a coach, to help you get there. And yeah, I uncovered also all my past baggage that I was carrying. Right, I don't want to say really traumas, because I don't think I have very big traumas, but we all have this, what I call the micro traumas, right? And I think here it's much more difficult to get there, because we are not even aware that we have that, right? If we have a
right.
big trauma, for example, like let's say we had faced some abuse or something, like as a child, then I wouldn't say the life is easier, but at least it's easier to understand where certain things coming from, right?
Yeah,
But if we don't have this, if we had a more or less normal childhood, and think that just turning out, there's still certain events in our life that, and we need to find them when certain things changed for us, right?
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, and then I worked on myself, and but then I had the shifts and the changes for myself were so profound that I started also helping other people with that, and I started working on that. And that's what we're basically doing or what I'm doing with my clients in the release, rediscover, rise process. We start with the release. That means, first of all, you need to find again this connection with yourself, right? You need to really release of all your beliefs you have, and this is a long work, because there you really go deep inside yourself, and you forget all the conventions you had, and then what your other people expect from you. You really do the deep work. And when you connect there, when you find again your purpose and your real values that are not filtered or not biased by any
yeah,
external noise, then you go in the rediscover phase, and there you can then find, okay, what's really, I mean, the first step is basically then, who am I? And the second phase is then, who do I want to be, or where do I want to be? This is then more like the vision or the future thinking aspect. And then only the last phase is the rise phase, because if you have these first 2 points aligned, like who you are now, where you're coming from, and who you want to be, if you really understand that, then you can make your roadmap or your game plan, how you get there.
yeah,
I think most people are very good in this last phase, in this rise phase, right? We are all think, okay, I have to set this goal, and I really like it sometimes. Some people, that they have this goals. They say, okay, they want to, whatever, they want to run a marathon, or they want to lose 20 pounds, or what, or they want to be a millionaire, right? But they cannot really explain why they want to have it, right? Because actually
Right.
they don't even like running. They just
Right.
hurt in some cases. And then I ask, okay, so why do you have to run a marathon if you don't, if you don't
Right.
like the journey? So why do you want to run a marathon? Just that you run a marathon. So and
That's so
yeah, so I think
funny.
you need to have the first two phases aligned before you can succeed in this rise phase and before you can really grow. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you can grow without that, but then it's very hard to sustain it because you're not really growing in the right direction.
I love that. I love that so much. And that's why I became a transformational life coach too, because I realized that in order to me to have built the business I have, I really had to do the inner work too. I'm an NLP master practitioner as
Mhm.
well. Right. And so I totally get you. Me and you are like right here. I totally get it. Right. And also the fact that I started the same. I started like, oh, I'm going to do my inner work. And then before I knew it, I was helping people. It's like, how
Yeah.
did I get into coaching? But totally get that. Like it's true. I love that though because you pointed something out that I think people need to hear which was why are you setting the goals that you don't even want to really have,
Yes.
right? And and it's exactly what you talked about before when you said it's because of like the influences, the social media or whatever we're looking at, listening to that we think that we have to do that too. And you don't have to do that too. And I think people need to have permission to live their lives.
Mhm.
And so I love that you're helping them with that. And you've also proven in your life the discipline that you have, right? So I'm sure that that's what attracts a lot of your clients to you. So talk to me about that. Like, who do you work with anyway? And like, give me if you have a case study or something that you have of someone who came to you one way and transformed through your process.
Yeah, I think I focus on people that are had a similar story like me, right? And usually they're a little older, like let's say 40 and above, and they also, especially at this age, you start to have these thoughts, right? And you start to think more about purpose because I think if we're starting our career, it's very easy. We're setting our goals and we're motivated, so we're going and we're making our experiences, which is also great. But then many of us reach a point, like I did, for example, or many others do, where you ask, I mean, is it really the right thing and I'm doing? And people are wondering, is it really? I mean, I'm working now in this job for 10, 20 years, and I'm wasting so much or spending so much time in this job, and it's so stressful, my life. And is it really what I want? So I'm trying to help people that are there, but also stuck there, because I
Mhm.
think the older you get, the more difficult it is to change, right? Because if we build
Yeah.
ourselves this castle around us with a safe or secure job, with our house, with our like our community and everything supporting us, with our family, and that's very difficult to make this change because we're so used to that, and our mind doesn't like to change, right? So
Yeah.
uh, but I think it's important to start as early as possible. So once we have this understanding that we should change something, or let's say even earlier, when we have this understanding that something is not perfectly aligned and that we're not really getting happy, that's where we're starting, and then really trying to understand, how to live a life more on your own terms, and more
Mhm. Mhm.
that's more fulfilling your purpose. So that's usually the people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've many clients that are in this situation, and they're successful in their careers, but something is missing. Either they're neglecting other areas of life because they're focusing too much on their career, or they're good
Mhm.
in in another area of life, but neglecting something else. And so we're working there to finding this balance and finding, yeah, a really purposeful life.
Yeah, purposeful life. That's it right there. And I think it's, we've gotten so convinced, right? That the job, the white picket fence, the house, the two kids, the whatever it is society wants to tell you is the thing, right?
Mhm.
And the truth is not everybody aligns with that. And it's great when we can help people transition through that. And the funny thing is that we say that we rely on a job or the income or whatever, but the truth is you can't. that job can change your position. That
Right.
job can close down. That job
Yeah.
can do a lot of things. And you sometimes live your life on those terms and keep living. Like you said, it's so true. People live their lives sometimes 20, 30, 40 years. I've had family members who have worked for companies for like 35 years or plus, you know? And thankfully young enough now that they can now travel and do the things they wanted to do, but they couldn't do the things they wanted to do in the interim for those 35 years. Right, Ingo? And the truth is we're not promised tomorrow. So if we don't start living our life on our terms and the way we want, we could really be living our life very limited and die today, right? A
Right.
lot of people had
Yeah.
plans
Mm.
today and didn't make it.
I
Yeah.
mean, even if you're not dying today, I mean, most of
No,
us
of
are not dying
course.
today, but life is running so fast, right?
It's so
And
fast.
one day we will wake up, and it doesn't matter if it's in 10 or 20 or 30 years, but we will wake up and we will have to look back on our life. This is also exercise I do with my clients, right?
Yes.
You look back on your life and then you think, is that really the life I wanted to live? Like,
Yep.
uh, and what are the questions you are asking yourself then, right? Should I have worked more, or should I have done more of that, or should I have watched more Netflix? No, it's usually not that.
Yep.
And with
Yep.
that, you can start a thinking process because, yeah, I mean, the point is if we continue to live in our comfort zone, it seems to be easier because every day we just make another step, right? And this, of course, the small steps are much easier to make, even if they're not going in the right direction, than to
So
make
true.
now a change in the right direction, which is in the beginning much more resistance, and it's much more difficult to make this change. But once you're on this way, yeah, it's really this freeing process and this releasing process, and yeah, yeah, I mean, you avoid that one day you will regret that you didn't do it earlier.
It's so true. That's very true, Ingo. I remember having a patient when I was in medical. I had a patient, she was like in her 90s, and I asked her what was the one thing she regretted most in her entire life. And I don't know why I asked that question, but I'm glad I did. And she said the one thing she regretted more than anything is that she never lived her life on her terms, that she always lived it for someone else. And she was in
Yeah.
her mid 90s. So what could she do now, right? She can't go back and start that career over and stuff. Could she? Probably, but she's in her mid 90s, right? And the reality is what you're saying is 100% true. And I love that you work with your clients, bringing them through that process. I do as well, because I think it's important for you to visualize what it's going to be like if you don't do what you want to do compared to if you do what you want to do. Right. And so give somebody right now, if you can, something they can take away with them right now, that to start that process of, I don't know, discovery or self-development. What do you think would be like one good thing they can start?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, and it was also for me the case, is yeah, start to reconnect with yourself again, and that means disconnect from everything else, and that can be via
Mm,
meditation, but it can be also other things. Like, for example, I enjoyed a lot to be in nature. Right, every day I go 3 times with my dogs for a walk in the nature or running in the nature, and of course you leave the cell phone at home and everything, and yeah, you just be with yourself, and I think this is also something we unlearned a little bit, right? Because we're so connected, and we cannot spend 2 minutes without getting uncomfortable, and we need to check
so true.
the next message on our cell phone, right? So we need to find this comfort again to deal with ourselves, to look into our mirror and see who we actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that's the starting process to get this understanding. Because as long as we're just constantly in social media, constantly having this input, it's not that we need more input. I think we have an abundance of information. I think we need less input, right?
Yes, I
Just like to
agree.
listen, because I believe the truth, all of us, we have the truth within ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We don't find it in any personal development books or in any YouTube videos. It's just like
So true.
within ourselves. So, and yeah,
So
start this
true.
process, and of course it's not something that happens in one day, but if you
Yeah.
constantly focus on that, I think you will understand a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's so true. You don't need the extra information. There's a lot of information. And sometimes you realize that you already knew it. You just didn't pause
Mm.
to discover that you already knew it. So, Ingo, if somebody's listening right now, and because I've had, and this is the blessing of my podcast, I've had a lot of people who've been on my show who find clients through the show, which has been amazing. A beautiful thing for me because I built the podcast to connect humans with other humans. So, how does somebody find you? How does somebody work with you? Like, give me that information for them.
Yeah, I think the best way to find me and to learn also more about my philosophy and my approach, and also to get a lot of practical advices on my YouTube channel. It's called YouTube at the Small Reset. So I call it the Small Reset because I think it's better than the Great Reset. I think if we all
I
do
love it.
small resets every day for ourselves, I think we will help more than anything else.
So
So
good.
it's YouTube at the Small Reset. There you find a lot of yeah, videos, information about mindset mastery, about how to live life on your terms. And if you're interested more in the coaching side of stuff, it's on my website. It's also called thesmallreset.org.
Awesome. Well, Ingo, thank you so much for coming on and dropping so much wisdom and having this conversation with me and my audience. I really appreciate you because I appreciate people who, really have already been there, done that, but now are taking their fellow person with them, like just helping one person at a time. And I really appreciate that. I love transformational coaching. I think it is what it says. It's transformational. It's to take you from that place that you don't want to be to the place you want to be. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. All the way from Mexico. I
Yes, thanks
appreciate
for the
it.
invite. It was a pleasure. Thanks,
Yeah,
Nina.
thank you. It was a pleasure for me as well. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Ingo. I'm going to make sure to link his information below, right? Because when you find good humans and people that you can connect with and you're like really thinking about how to transform your life, well, Ingo could be the person for you. So I'm going to make sure all of his info is down there so that you can connect, speak to him, look at what he has going on, get on his website, all that great stuff, because we actually have a life that is constantly moving, growing, and evolving. And many times, and I really believe this, we shouldn't do it alone. We should do it with someone on our side, someone who can guide us, who can see the blind spots we can't see. And for all of you out there, because I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and coaches and all of that, I really highly advise that you have someone on your side that can help you look at things differently so that you can move forward and get unstuck. So thank you guys for being here. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.